Welcome to Daytime Storybook, where every story is an adventure filled with positivity, kindness, and big dreams. Here, we share fun and inspiring tales to help young hearts grow, learn, and feel encouraged. If you love these uplifting stories, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss a new story. Thanks for being part of the Daytime Storybook family. Let's spread kindness together, one story at a time. Our story begins. Luna Torres had always been fascinated by clouds. While other kids saw simple white puffs in the sky, she saw castles, dragons, and sailing ships drifting through the blue. But on the morning of her 11th birthday, something extraordinary happened. A cloud actually waved back at her. She was sitting in her favorite spot in the backyard, a worn purple beanbag chair she'd dragged outside, when she absently waved at a cloud that looked like a friendly bear. To her astonishment, the cloud bear's paw moved in response, sending a clear wave right back at her. Luna blinked hard, certain she was imagining things. She raised her hand again, this time deliberately moving it in a circle. The cloud bear spun in place, performing a perfect pirouette against the summer sky. "Charlie," she whispered urgently into her phone, speed dialing her best friend. "You need to come over right now." "But it's 7 in the morning," Charlie Williams groaned through the phone. "On a Saturday." "Trust me," Luna insisted. "This is important. Code Stardust important." Code Stardust was their highest level of secret emergency, reserved for only the most amazing discoveries. They'd only used it once before, when they found a nest of baby rabbits in the school garden. "I'll be there in 5 minutes," Charlie said, suddenly wide awake. True to his word, Charlie arrived at Luna's house exactly 5 minutes later, his curly hair uncombed and his shoes on the wrong feet. None of that mattered, though, because the cloud bear was still there, now doing what appeared to be jumping jacks. "Are you seeing this?" Luna asked as Charlie stood frozen in her backyard, mouth open. "Either I'm still dreaming, or that cloud is exercising," Charlie replied. Luna grabbed his hand. "Watch this." She raised her other hand and drew a figure 8 in the air. The cloud bear obediently followed her movement, transforming from a bear into a flowing figure 8 before their eyes. "Your turn," she said, nudging Charlie. With trembling fingers, Charlie lifted his hand and traced a star shape. The cloud immediately responded, reshaping itself into a perfect 5-pointed star. "We can control clouds," he whispered in awe. "We can shape clouds," Luna corrected, already imagining the possibilities. "This is amazing. We could make sky shows, or write messages, or help with the drought," Charlie interrupted, his expression suddenly serious. Luna's excitement dimmed slightly. Their small town of Meadowbrook had been suffering through the worst drought in 50 years. The creek that ran through the center of town had shrunk to a trickle, and the once green parks were turning brown. Their parents talked in worried voices about crop failures and water restrictions. "Do you think we could?" Luna asked. "Make it rain, I mean?" Charlie pushed his glasses up his nose, his thinking face in full effect. "Well, real rain comes from clouds, right? And we can control clouds. We just need to figure out how to make them rain." For the next hour, they experimented with their newfound ability. They discovered they could only control clouds within their line of sight, and it worked better when they worked together. They also learned that different hand movements created different effects. Sweeping motions moved clouds, pinching motions made them smaller, and spreading their fingers made them expand. "We need to research how rain works," Charlie declared, pulling out his tablet. "If we're going to help, we need to do it right." They spent the rest of the morning learning about cloud formation, precipitation, and weather patterns. They learned about cumulus clouds, condensation, and the conditions necessary for rainfall. Charlie took detailed notes while Luna drew diagrams. "Okay," Luna said finally, looking up at the sky. "Ready to try?" Together, they raised their hands and began gathering nearby clouds, combining them into a larger mass. Following the principles they'd learned, they shaped the cloud into the tall, dark form of a cumulonimbus, a rain cloud. Nothing happened. "Maybe we need to make it colder at the top?" Charlie suggested, remembering their research about temperature differences. They focused on shaping the top of the cloud higher into the sky, where the air was cooler. Still nothing. "We're missing something," Luna said, frustrated. Then she remembered something her grandmother used to say about working together. 4 hands make light work. Charlie, let's try holding hands while we do it. Maybe we need to combine our power? They linked hands and raised their free arms toward the sky. This time, they didn't just shape the cloud. They imagined the water within it, the droplets combining and growing heavier. They thought about the dry earth below, the thirsty plants, and all the people who needed the rain. A single drop fell, landing on Luna's nose. Then another, and another. Within minutes, a gentle rain was falling over Luna's backyard. The 2 friends stood in the drizzle, laughing and dancing, hardly believing what they had accomplished. But their celebration was short-lived. After about 5 minutes, the rain stopped, and their carefully crafted rain cloud began to dissipate. "It's not enough," Charlie said, wiping his glasses dry. "We need to figure out how to make it last longer and cover more area." Over the next few days, Luna and Charlie practiced constantly. They met every morning in Luna's backyard, experimenting with different cloud shapes and combinations. They learned that bigger wasn't always better. Sometimes smaller, more concentrated clouds produced more rain. They discovered that they could create chains of rain clouds, each one seeding the next. They also learned that their cloud shaping had limits. They couldn't create clouds out of nothing. They could only work with the clouds that were already in the sky. And the more clouds they controlled at once, the more tired they became. But they kept practicing, driven by the sight of their town's withering gardens and the worry in their parents' voices. They knew they had to find a way to help. One morning, about a week after their discovery, they arrived at their usual meeting spot to find Luna's mother staring at the sky with concern. "The weather report says we might not see rain for another month," she said, shaking her head. "At this rate, we might have to leave town. Many families are talking about it." Luna and Charlie exchanged glances. They had been practicing in secret, afraid of how people might react to their ability. But now, watching Luna's mother's worried face, they realized they couldn't keep their gift to themselves any longer. "Mom," Luna said carefully, "what if we told you we might be able to help?" At first, Luna's mother didn't believe them, but when they demonstrated their cloud-shaping ability, transforming a nearby cloud into the shape of a flower, then a butterfly, then a rain cloud that sprinkled her garden, she sat down hard in Luna's beanbag chair. "We want to help the whole town," Charlie explained, "but we need help to do it right." Luna's mother, once she got over her shock, proved to be an invaluable ally. As the local weather station's meteorologist, she understood weather patterns better than anyone. She helped them plan the best times and places to create rain, showing them how to work with natural weather patterns to make their efforts more effective. Word spread quickly in their small town. Some people were skeptical at first, but as small rainstorms began appearing regularly over the most drought-stricken areas, people began to hope. The town council officially sanctioned their efforts, and other kids their age volunteered to help monitor weather conditions and track rainfall amounts. It wasn't an instant solution. Even with their ability, Luna and Charlie couldn't simply end the drought overnight. But they could help, a little bit every day, working with nature instead of trying to force it. They developed a routine. Every morning, they would check the weather patterns with Luna's mother. Then, they would find the best clouds to work with and carefully shape them into rain clouds, sending them where they were needed most. They learned to create gentle, sustained rainfall instead of brief downpours, understanding that the parched earth needed time to absorb the water. Their friendship grew stronger through their shared responsibility. Where Luna was creative and intuitive in her cloud shaping, Charlie was methodical and precise. Together, they found ways to make their gift more effective than either could have managed alone. The town began to change. The creek began to flow more strongly, gardens started to recover, the park grass turned green again, and more importantly, people began working together in ways they hadn't before. Inspired by Luna and Charlie's example, the town organized water conservation efforts. People shared gardening tips and helped their neighbors install rain barrels. The school started a project to plant drought-resistant native species. What had begun as 2 friends with an amazing ability had turned into a community-wide effort to protect their town's future. One evening, about 3 months after they first discovered their gift, Luna and Charlie sat in their usual spot in Luna's backyard. The air was cool and damp from their morning rain-making session, and the sunset was painting the clouds in brilliant shades of pink and gold. "Do you ever wonder why us?" Charlie asked, sketching cloud formations in his notebook. "Why did we get this ability?" Luna thought about it as she absently shaped a nearby cloud into a heart. "Maybe because we were ready to help, or maybe because we work better together than apart." "Like the clouds themselves," Charlie said, smiling. "Each water droplet is tiny, but together they can make rain." "Exactly," Luna agreed. "And look what happened. We thought we were just going to help with the drought, but we ended up helping bring the whole town together." As if to emphasize their point, they heard the community dinner bell ringing. Since the drought began, people had started gathering in the park every Friday evening to share meals and stories. Tonight was the first harvest from the new community garden, a garden that wouldn't have survived without their carefully planned rain showers. "We should go," Charlie said, standing up and offering Luna his hand. "But first..." Together, they raised their free hands to the sky and shaped the sunset clouds into a magnificent display. Castles and dragons and sailing ships, all painted in sunset colors. Below, they could hear people in the park gasping and pointing at their sky show. "Remember when we thought clouds were just clouds?" Luna laughed as they headed toward the park. "They never were," Charlie replied. "We just needed to learn how to see the power that was there all along." That night, as the community gathered under the fairy tale sky Luna and Charlie had created, people shared more than just food. They shared hopes and plans, ideas for making their town better and stronger. Children asked Luna and Charlie to teach them about clouds and weather patterns. Adults discussed new conservation projects. And if anyone noticed that the two young friends, sitting in the middle of it all, were holding hands and smiling secret smiles at the sky, well, that was just part of the show. As the years passed, Luna and Charlie continued to help their town, though they discovered that their gift was meant to be temporary. Gradually, their ability to shape clouds faded, but by then, it had served its purpose. The drought eventually ended, and the town had learned valuable lessons about conservation and working together. But every now and then, on special occasions, the townspeople would look up to see clouds shaped like hearts, or flowers, or dancing bears drifting across the sky. And they would smile, remembering the summer when two young friends taught them that the most powerful love of all is the willingness to help others. Luna and Charlie never lost their fascination with clouds, though. They both went on to study meteorology, like Luna's mother, wanting to understand more about the natural wonder they had once been part of. And, on quiet evenings, they would still sit in Luna's backyard, though they'd long since upgraded from the purple beanbag chair, watching the clouds drift by. "Do you miss it?" Charlie would sometimes ask, and Luna would always smile and say, "We didn't lose the power. We just helped spread it around a little." She was right, of course. The real power hadn't been in their ability to shape clouds. It had been in the way their friendship had helped shape their community. That was a kind of love that would last forever. 10 years after the drought, Meadowbrook had become known as the town that weathered the storm. Visitors were often surprised to find so many water conservation measures in place despite the now abundant rainfall. They wondered about the cloud-shaped weather vanes on many buildings, and why children in the local school seemed to know so much about meteorology. The creek that had once nearly dried up now ran strong and clear, its banks lined with native plants that helped prevent erosion. The community garden had expanded into several gardens throughout town, all designed to thrive in varying weather conditions. Rain barrels and water recycling systems had become standard features of every home. Luna and Charlie had graduated college with degrees in atmospheric science, but they always found time to return home. They might not have been able to shape clouds anymore, but they had shaped something far more lasting, a community that understood the value of working together and taking care of their environment. And on very special days when the conditions were just right, people would swear they could see clouds dancing in the sky above Meadowbrook, as if remembering the summer when two young friends had taught them how to sing in the rain.